The next incident that I want to relate to you is perhaps one of the most astonishing happenings in my relationship with the Master. I thoroughly believe that it was through his intervention that I am here at this time telling these stories. It happened on a hot Sunday afternoon in July 1921. We had gone to my father's summer place on Plymouth Bay, in fact in Duxbury, Massachusetts, and had gone out in a small boat, three of us, my father, my brother, and myself. We were about 2 miles offshore when it was quite evident that a very severe squall was about to break. The sky had a very foreboding look, and huge thunderheads had risen in the northwest, and then the darkness began to settle in that region. The wind had died down, and seeing our predicament, we started to row back toward the shore. The boat was not too large a boat, so that two, one with each oar, could make some headway. And so we rowed like mad in the direction of home. We were unable to reach the shore, being about a half a mile offshore, when that terrific squall broke. Luckily, we had a huge anchor which was thrown over with a great rope, but in spite of that, unless there had been some intervention, I know that we would not have survived such wind, and rain, and hail, and thunder and lightning. I remember as I peeked out under the canvas which we were holding over the cockpit that I wondered just what it would be like when the end came. And then I remembered the family and the children came into my consciousness, the thought of leaving them, and then came the thought of the Master, that we had just started on such a wonderful spiritual relationship, and now that had to end. And I remember there was a decided pang in my heart as those things came into my consciousness. And then I remembered the words of the Master. He had said not too long before that, he said, "Remember, Doctor, when you are in the Om vibration, when your consciousness is centered in the Christ center in the forehead, and you merge in that Om vibration, nothing can harm you." And so I lifted my eyes and looked there where he had told me, and behold, a great light the shape of a large spiritual eye came. Right in the midst of that storm, and with it there descended upon me such a consciousness of peace and security that I knew nothing could touch me. In due time the storm broke, and a large motorboat had put out to rescue us and tow us ashore. There was great rejoicing. colony had gathered together on the shore, fearing that we would be lost. And there was great rejoicing and reunion. The rest of the day was spent at my father's home, and late that night I arrived back in my own home in Somerville, Massachusetts. And just as I entered the door, the telephone rang. I answered it, and the master's voice said to me, "Well, Doctor, you came near getting wet today, didn't you?" Of course, I didn't grasp or realize just what he meant by those words until the second time he said it. Then I realized that he must have known something of what had happened, although he never said another word about it. It was not until several years later, when I happened to be talking with Sister Yogananda, who, by the way, was the first sister created in America, in Boston. I was talking with her, and she told me that at that precise time, about 3:15 on that Sunday afternoon, several years before, that the Master and she were seated in a parlor. He was reading Emerson's essay on the sea, when she said suddenly, he threw down the book and jumped to his feet and began pacing the floor, saying, "Sister, the doctor's in trouble, serious trouble, I tell you." Well, when I found out that, at the first opportunity, I proceeded to pin the Master down, so to speak, and I at last gained an admission that he had seen just what was happening. And this story shows that a true Master, as Paramahansa Yogananda, is without doubt one with God's omniscience. And as his omniscience knows all things, sees all things, so one who is one with that omniscience can likewise be cognizant of all things that are happening.